These are the Unusual Way Sports Silver Fox skates, a newer skate brand that's exploded in popularity as of late, to such a degree they're included with a lot of very premium glass pads such as the Tekusai Beast and Glassworks Hana. These skates fall into the same category as the X-Ray Pad Jade Air Dots in my opinion, as they're a speed-focused skate that is made out of 100% PTFE. They also have the same added layer of SMPF foam that we saw in the X-Ray Pad Air series skates, but the Silver Foxes are shaped very differently from the other dot skates we've covered here on the channel before, so the Silver Fox skates have a uniquely speed balanced performance profile, and they're also very quiet when used on hard pads. And despite Unusual Way Sports being a newer name in the skate market, they've released a very solid skate in the form of the Silver Fox skates here, and while I briefly talked about them when I reviewed the Tekusai Beast, these skates perform so well I wanted to do a full review and talk about them more in depth. But before we get into it, if you enjoy the review and want to see more reviews like this, including reviews of Unusual Way Sports other skate types, be sure to leave a like on this video and get subscribed to the channel. But without further ado, let's get right into today's episode of the mel0n Review. In terms of versions, the Silver Fox skates come in a wide variety of different types. There are pre-cut sets available for the Dex, GPX, Maya, ULX, Sora V2, Death Adder V3, Viper V3 Pro, and Zowie U2 with many more sets on the way. And there is also the Universal Dot Skate Kit, which is the set I'll be talking about today. Both the Universal Skate Set and the pre-cut skates retail for $14 Canadian, around $10 USD. The set I have here today is the one that came with the Tekusai Beast. Inside it includes a little welcome card, a UWS branded alcohol wipe, and 40 Silver Fox skates. The skates will either come on a single sheet like mine are, or they'll be split into two sheets of 20. On the back of the packaging there is a little guide on how to install the skates, but just like I said when I covered the Ghost Glide skates, it'd be nice to see a more detailed explanation of how to install the skates on the back of the welcome cord or on the back of the packaging, with some guides to better show how to properly install the skates, like X-Ray Pad does with theirs. In regards to installing the Silver Fox skates, since they are dot skates, we can just use the same process we've used for all other dot skates. First, remove your existing skates entirely. If you have full-size skates installed on your mouse, make sure you remove both layers if they happen to be a dual layered skate. Use the included alcohol wipe to clean the skate cutouts and remove any leftover adhesive residue from the old skates. Let that evaporate away, and then you can go ahead and install your new skates. Now, in regards to how many skates to use, for smaller mice I generally use 4 to 6 dot skates, and on larger mice I use around 8 to 10, but the number of dots you use is entirely up to personal preference. And regardless of how many dot skates you end up using, just make sure that all the skates are positioned evenly and that you use the same number of skates on both the top and the bottom of your mouse. Also keep in mind that the less dots you use, the faster your mouse is going to feel, and conversely, the more dots you feel, the more controlled the mouse will be. Just be sure not to use too many dot skates, as the more you use, the more diminishing returns you'll get in terms of performance. Now, in terms of skate dimensions, the Silver Fox skates are quite unique, as there are actually two sizes of skates included with each set. At a glance, the skates look all the same size, but if you look very closely, you can actually see that some of the skates are ever so slightly smaller than the others. The smaller skates measure around 6.5 millimeters wide, and the larger ones will measure around 7 millimeters wide. Both sizes are 0.9 millimeters thick, but due to the added SMPF layer, the skates can slightly shrink down when pressure is applied to them, shrinking them down to around 8 millimeters thick. Each set of the Silver Fox skates comes with 26.5 millimeter dots and 27 millimeter dots. Easiest way to differentiate the two sizes is to note that the sizes alternate. So on the sheet of skates, one row will be 6.5 millimeters and the next row will be 7 millimeters, and then the row after that will be 6.5 millimeters. But because they're kind of hard to visually distinguish from each other, be very careful when you go to install the skates, and make sure all the skates you install on your mouse are the same size. When I first installed the skates, I didn't even notice the sizing difference, and I ended up using 4 of the 6.5 millimeter dots and 2 of the 7 millimeter dots on my mouse. So make sure to double check the sizes and make sure they're all the same size before you install them on your mouse. In terms of skate material, the Silver Fox skates, just like the X-Ray Pad Jade Air skates, are made out of 100% PTFE. This means that they'll have a lower durability than hardened PTFE or UHWM material skates, but they'll have the fastest performance, as 100% PTFE skates have the lowest friction coefficient of any skate material I've covered here on the channel, aside from gem and glass of course. And just like the UHWM and nylon skates I've covered here on the channel before, the Silver Fox's PTFE material is completely hydrophobic, so the skate's performance will be consistent in both dry and humid environments. Now, I wanted to make a quick note here in regards to working periods. Since the Silver Fox skates are 100% PTFE, just like other 100% PTFE skates, they don't have a working period like hardened PTFE or UHWM material skates do, but as they are used, due to their softer, more malleable material, they will wear down over time, which will cause the skates to slow down. This will happen happen the fastest on hard pads like glass pads for example, and it'll be much slower on fabric pads, but just keep in mind that depending on what pads you're using the silver fox skates on, you might need to replace them more frequent than you would have to if you were using UHWM or hardened PTFE skates. In terms of shaping, due to the silver fox's unique dimensions being either 6.5 or 7 millimeters wide with a thickness of 0.9 millimeters, this gives the skates a rather unique shape that's very different from the traditional shaping we've seen on other dot skates. Unlike the cylindrical shape with a convex base and top that we've seen on the X-Ray Pad and ESP Tiger dot skates, the silver fox skates are a wider, flatter shape with a slightly concave base and slightly convex top. The only skate I can really compare the silver fox skates shaping to would be the Ghost Glide 66 skates, which I'll be covering in an upcoming review, so be sure to get subscribed so you don't miss that. But the silver fox skates are thinner in terms of thickness and are slightly taller due to their more convex top. It's also worth mentioning that the silver fox skates, like most skates, don't have any kind of surface texture, so it has that smooth polished look that we saw in the Cyclones and the Jade skates. Now in regards to mel0n's compatibility, since the silver fox skates are dot skates, albeit slightly larger than usual, they'll be compatible with most if not all mice on the market. The 6.5mm dots will be the most universally compatible. The 7mm dots will also be very compatible, but they might be slightly too big for some skate cutouts, but from my testing both sizes were fully compatible with every mouse in my collection. The skates are also tall enough for the most part to prevent any bottoming out issues, but this will depend on the depth of your mouse's skate cutouts. On all the mice I tested, including the Fentech Aria 2, OGM Pro V2, Vancer Thrash, and Sora V2, I didn't run into any bottoming out issues on these skates, but on mice with deeper skate cutouts like the Logitech mice, you might run into some problems. Alright, next up let's talk about pad compatibility. Since the silver fox skates are dot skates, albeit uniquely shaped ones, they'll have the same compatibility issues as other dot skates. As such, the skates won't be compatible with all soft firmness pads such as the King Jade Fuxi and the Fnatic-2 Max, as the skates are too thin and too short to counteract the depth of those pads, causing your mouse to bottom out when any pressure is applied to it. On medium firmness pads like the Waco Island Project 87 and the X-Ray Pad Heavy B, the smaller 6.5mm dots bottomed out more frequently than 7mm dots did, but it wasn't 100% consistent, so compatibility with medium firmness pads is kind of a 50-50 in my opinion, depending on how many skates you use and what size you use. And for hard firmness pads like the Kurosan Samurai and LGG Saturn Pro Firm, both the 6.5 and 7mm dots were fully compatible, and over my testing I didn't run into any issues with the silver fox skates bottoming out on this pad type. And lastly, when it comes to hard pads such as glass pads like the Beast, the silver fox skates are fully compatible with all types of hard pads, and as an added benefit, as I mentioned earlier, they also have that added layer of SMPF foam that makes them very quiet when used on hard pads, but keep in mind that due to their 100% PTFE nature, as I mentioned earlier, they do have the shortest lifespan on this pad type, but I'll talk more about that in a moment. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the silver fox skates are very similar to the X-Ray Pad Jade Air skates, but due to their wider shaping, the silver fox skates have significantly more surface and contact area when they're used on fabric pads, which gives them slightly more controlled when compared to the Jade Air dots. As such, I'd classify the silver fox skates as being a speed balanced performance profile skate, as opposed to the speed optimized performance profile we saw on the X-Ray Pad Jade Air skates. When used on hard pads, the silver fox skates will have a similar surface area as the X-Ray Pad Jade Air skates did, and since there isn't as much surface contact as there was on fabric pads, the skate's performance profile will shift to more of a speed optimized performance profile as opposed to the speed balanced performance profile we saw on fabric pads, more akin to the performance profile of the X-Ray Pad Jades when they're used on glass, just ever so slightly more controlled due to the unique shaping. Now keep in mind that because there are two different skate sizes here with the silver fox skates, there will be a slight difference between the speed of the 6.5mm dots and the 7mm dots. From my testing, the 6.5mm dots were slightly faster than the 7mm dots, as the larger ones are more controlled due to their slightly larger surface area. In all honesty though, the difference between the skates is very slight, and it's only really noticeable on medium to hard firmness fabric pads. On hard pads like glass, the difference between the two skate sizing is almost indistinguishable. Alright, well now that we've gone over the silver fox's mouse and mouse pad compatibility, as well as the skate's performance profile, let's talk about their performance on different pad types next. First, let's talk about their performance on soft pads. Now for my testing here, I used 8 of the 7mm silver fox skates on my Vancer Thrash, and I played at around 40cm per 360. For speed focus pads such as the Lethal Gaming Gear Neptune, unsurprisingly the silver fox skates were very fast on this pad due to their speed balanced nature, not as fast as the Jade Airs due to their sizing, but still quite fast regardless. And because of this, the skates had the lowest amount of initial dynamic and static friction out of any soft pad I tested, which made the skates perfect perfect for dynamic and tracking aiming. They're technically usable for static aiming, but due to the lack of braking friction, they weren't ideal, at least in my use case, but still usable by all means. For hybrid pads like the Focus Ambition, the Silver Fox skates felt their best in my opinion, as their speed balance performance profile complemented the balanced nature of the Ambition perfectly. On this pad type, the added control from the pad slows down these Silver Foxes slightly, so their initial dynamic and braking friction was slightly higher, but this made the skates much more well-rounded and ideal for not only tracking and dynamic aiming but also static and flicking aiming, as the added control makes the skate stopping power much more consistent than it was on speed pads. And lastly, on control pads like the LGG Saturn Pro Firm, the Silver Fox skates also felt fantastic, similar to how they felt on hybrid pads, just with a little bit more added control due to the pad's more controlled surface. Of course, this also shifted the Silver Fox's initial dynamic and braking friction to the highest degree I tested, but even on more controlled surfaces like the Saturn Pro, the Silver Foxes performed true to their speed balance performance profile. As such, the skates were best suited for static and flicking aiming due to the increased braking friction, but they were still very usable for more dynamic and tracking aiming. They just felt slower than they did on hybrid pads and speed pads, but overall still a very usable skate for all aim types, just a little bit more statically optimized here than they were on hybrid pads. And of course, since they have the added layer of SMPF foam, we also have to talk about hard pad performance. Now, normally speaking, when I cover 100% PTFE skates, I don't talk about their hard pad performance, as the PTFE material wears the fastest on hard pads, so they have the shortest lifespan, but since they have the added layer of SMPF and since they're included with pads like the Beast and the Hana, I figured I'd talk about their hard pad performance in this review as well. As expected, due to their speed balanced nature, the skates when used on glass performed very similar to how they performed on speed optimized fabric pads, as they felt very fast and had the lowest degree of static, dynamic, and braking friction as expected for such a speed optimized skate. This made the skates best suited for more dynamic and tracking aiming, not so much for static and flicking aiming due to the lack of stopping power, but potentially usable on a higher centimeter per 360 ranges. But while the skates perform well, my biggest issue with them again is that they're made out of 100% PTFE, so they wear extremely quickly on harder surfaces like the Beast surface, which means they'll have an extremely short lifespan. Now admittedly this isn't the biggest issue, but it definitely hampers the Silver Fox's overall hard pad usage in my experience when compared to hardened PTFE, nylon, or UHWM material skates, as those skates can perform similarly but also have a significantly longer lifespan. And lastly, let's talk about reusability. The Silver Fox skates appear to be using an adhesive similar to the one X-Ray Pad has used on their Air Series skates, and as such the skate reusability here on the Silver Foxes is good, and the skates anchor themselves very strongly but not too strongly where they're impossible to remove from nice bases. But due to their softer PTFE material, sometimes you go to remove the skates, you can actually bend the skate in half, ruining the skate. The reason this happens is that because the skate's shaping is so thin and flat, they bend and warp much easier than thicker, more cylindrical skates like the X-Ray Pad dots. So sadly, the Silver Fox's reusability isn't as good as thicker or harder material skates, but considering their shorter lifespan, this isn't going to be that significant of an issue. Alright, well, in closing, overall the Unusual Way Silver Fox skates are a surprisingly good set of skates. I definitely think their shaping saves them from feeling like a clone of other PTFE dots, as it gives them a very unique speed balanced performance profile on all fabric pads and a speed optimized performance profile on hard pads. In my opinion, I do think they're the best on medium to hard firmness hybrid and control pads, but the added SMPF layer does also make them great for hard pads, but keep in mind due to their softer material, again, they will have the shortest lifespan on hard pads, so while they perform well, you will need to replace them much more frequently than you would have to if you were using them on soft pads, but still completely usable by all means. Also, having two skate sizes included is a really nice attention to detail that gives the skates a very universal compatibility, but due to their thinner design and more malleable material, the skate's reusability isn't on par with other dot skates on the market, but again, that's pretty par for the course with thinner skates, and we've seen these issues before. But overall, I'm very impressed with the Silver Fox skates, and I'll definitely be keeping a very close eye on Unusual Way sports skate offerings in the future. I know they're releasing a new skate very soon, so I'll definitely try and cover those here on the channel in the future, but that'll be a topic for another time. But that's going to be everything for this episode of the mel0n Review. Big thank you to our channel members, Yukia89, Print, It Was Luck, Lunaris, Mark World, and everyone else. Our members' support is what makes what I do here on the channel possible, so thank you very much for your support. If you'd like to become a member and support what I'm doing here with the in-depth reviews and of course the Teardown project, you can become a member here for only $2 a month. This is one of the best ways to directly support the channel, and again, members make what I do here possible, so thank you very much in advance for your support. Alternatively, you can also help support the channel by using code mel0n with a 0 over at Lethal Gaming Gear, Potent Gaming, Met Keys, TJ Exclusives, and a couple other retailers to save yourself some money off your your orders and help directly support the channel. But that's everything for today. Thank you very much again for watching my review of the Unusual Ways Sports Silver Fox Skates, and I'll catch you all in the next episode of the mel0n Review. Peace.